Every artist needs, in their bag of tricks, the ability to stretch a canvas. Today I'm going to demonstrate how to stretch this particular painting, which is 12 inches by 16 inches. I have purchased ready-made stretcher bars that come in packages of 2. You'll notice that this particular length is 16, and I also bought a package of 2 12-inch stretcher bars. Stretcher bars are grooved so that they fit easily together. There's a front and a back side. The back side generally has writing on it, and the front side has an extra ridge. Just slip the 2 sides in together, and you end up with a corner that looks like this. So I have a 12 and a 16 piece stretcher bar corner. Now attach the other 2 corners and you'll have your square. Then I'm going to show you how to make sure that this rectangle is perfectly square. Once your stretcher bar is assembled, take a tape measure and measure each corner. And the measurement should be exactly the same. If you need to make an adjustment, you can take a hammer and tap slightly on either end until you have exactly the same measurements corner to corner. The next step is to actually mount the canvas on the stretcher bars. I like to place my stretcher bars on top of the painting and mark the corners underneath with a T. I just make either a pencil or a pen, doesn't matter, and I make a little scratch, the letter T. And if I do that on all 4 corners, when I reverse and flip it all over, it's going to be much easier to know where my painting is going to line up on the back side of this canvas. So I will line up my painting with the corners on the marks, and now I'm ready to stretch. Once you've marked the back side of your canvas, lay your stretcher bars over on top of the back side of the canvas with the numbers or the back side of the stretcher bars facing up. I like to start by putting a staple in the middle of the longest side, and I hold my staple gun off of the stretcher bars and a bit away from the canvas, because if I haven't made a mistake, I want to make sure that I can get the staple out easily. So there's a little space, easy to get a screwdriver under if I ever had to remove that staple. Then I'm going to pull the canvas very tight, leaving it flat on the surface of the table, creating a small ridge in the center. That's exactly what I want to see. And again, I'm going to put a staple in the back of the stretcher bars. When you staple on the back of stretcher bars as opposed to the sides, this is called a gallery wrap. I'll go ahead and I'll do my 4 sides together. Now I didn't get that one staple pulled that tight, and so I pulled it out. So I'll just go ahead and retack it. That's not a problem. Make sure that any staples that you pull out go immediately into the wastebasket and don't get on the floor of your carpet. They can hurt toes. Now I'm going to pull the sides again. On the 12-inch side and in the center of the stretcher bar, I'm going to put a staple, and pulling tight for the 4th side, again put a staple in the middle. Now is a good time to check your canvas to make sure that all the sides of the canvas are going to fit neatly around the stretcher bars. This is a good time to check. Looks good. Let's keep doing the staples. When you're stapling, the rule of thumb is do 3 staples on one side, and you'll notice I'm holding the staple gun flat against the surface now, and 3 on the opposite. Of course, we had 1 in the middle, so we added 2. Then I'm going to turn it around and do the 2 shorter 12-inch sides, adding 2 more staples. And regardless of how big the stretcher bars are you're using or the size of the canvas, continue to do 3, 3, 3, and 3. And as you get down toward the corners, that's handled a bit differently. If you've ever made a bed with hospital corners, it's the same principle. We're going to fold the corners very similar to how you'd make a bed, and I'm going to make a pleat, and then using my thumb, I'm going to pull back the right-hand side of this corner and just staple it down. And if I can show you that staple, that's what the corner, and I have a nice, neat, folded edge. And I'll go ahead and I will staple first the side closest to me, and then I'm going to push the canvas in a little bit with my finger, fold it back, and then lap over. And don't worry if you have a couple of folds on the where you're stapling it, doesn't matter. So it's on the back of the canvas, no one's going to see it. Now if this were a larger canvas, you would want to stretch or pull tight these corners before you staple. But because this is such a small canvas, this 12 by 16, that you really just finger tension is all that you need. So I'm going ahead and I'm finishing all four corners. And the reason I do the corners in this order and not wait till the very end is it's very difficult to fold the corners if you've got staples to here. Now I'm just going around the rest of the canvas, and I'll maybe do 2 staples on one side and 2 staples on the other. Then I'll turn it around, because remember, you want to keep doing opposites. And it doesn't matter how big the canvas is you're stretching. The only difference would be if you were doing a very large canvas, say 48 by 60, you would probably be using stretcher pliers to pull this canvas tight before you stapled it down. But this is a great skill to have, because you never know as an artist when you might be traveling and want to just take some rolled canvas with you and then stretch it later at home, and it gives you a lot more room in the suitcase. Or perhaps you've even bought some reproductions on canvas that you'd like to stretch yourself. So if you know how you're stretching a canvas, this will speed along your art projects. And I'm going to turn the canvas over, and you can see we have a finished product. Now, if you notice that there may be a few little spots in the canvas where perhaps when I painted it, I didn't paint a perfectly 12 by 16 painting. Doesn't matter. I can come back and touch that up. But normally, these little edges would be covered by a picture frame, so you wouldn't see it anyway. But because I stapled on the back, and there's no staples on the sides, as an artist, I can go ahead and paint the sides of this canvas and just hang this right on the wall. And I don't need a frame. And that's one of the advantages of using a gallery stretch on a canvas.